Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hey, Pete. Welcome back, Films and Stuff. How are you?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm super good today. We've got a great session of films and, not films and stuff, of stream or skip coming up now.
And films and stuff, but yes.
And films and stuff. We know the rules. Each week, you assign me a show to watch. I assign you a show to watch. We watch them. We discuss them. We rate them. And I'll go first if you don't mind.
Not at all.
You assigned me something called The Devil's Hour.
That's right.
Which is on Amazon Prime. And when it was assigned, I think my first reaction was, that sounds scary. That's got to be kind of horror or something similar to it. And we said neither one of us knew what it was about. But yeah, with a title like that, it kind of seemed like it was. So I started watching it, and it is exactly what we were
worried that it would be.
And you know my feelings towards horror. Not a fan whatsoever. It gives me deeply unpleasant feelings. So let me give you just the gist of it, because there's a good story around this. I started watching it, and like immediately it's creepy. Woman wakes up every night at 3:33 in the morning, right? And colloquially speaking, between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. is kind of known as the devil's hour. I guess that's just kind of like, I don't know, common knowledge. And she wakes up at the same time every night. She's suffering from terrible nightmares, and she's a single mother. She has a young son, like Haley Joel Osment's age.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid is super, super creepy. Very, very quiet, withdrawn. He's got a lot of imaginary friends. You know where this is going, right? Goes to see, mom takes him to go see like a child psychologist about how withdrawn he is and how he seems to be behaving only to like appease his so-called imaginary friends. I was out. Right away, I knew where this was going. It seemed super, super creepy to me. And whoever is this child actor, the guy's amazing, but very, very creepy. Could not watch it. Turned it off. And I self-assigned myself something else. But before I tell you about that self-assignment, I was reading reviews then of The Devil's Hour. And apparently it's been renewed for 2 more seasons. And it is highly, highly acclaimed. So I dug into it a little bit more. And it absolutely has a creepy element to it, but it seems like that creepiness is less, it's not really with like Satanism and all these other like black magics and stuff. It's something else. And I have to say, when I was reading about it, I was a little bit remorseful that I didn't stick it out, maybe like another, at least until the end of the first episode.
Okay.
So I may go back and try to watch it again, because I have to say the way that I read about it, and now it's all spoiled, so I mean, I kind of know what's going to happen, but I have to say it seemed a little bit more intriguing to me, but that first half an episode was like just harrowing. I wanted no part of that whatsoever. So anyway, now we get to what I really watched and will review, and that is show Collateral on Netflix. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
It is with Carey Mulligan. You remember her?
I do, yeah.
Great Gatsby, Wall Street 2, a plethora of other stuff, right?
Right.
And she's a very interesting actress as well, by the way. I was reading her bio and how she got into acting. She's super, super interesting. So, and she's British, which I did not know, actually.
That's news to me as well.
Yeah, I guess I kind of just assumed that she was American. But
Yeah, likewise.
That may be an American bias coming out. So in any case, this is a British crime drama thriller. if you could say that. It is only 6 episodes, so maybe we could call it like a mini series. And as far as I'm aware, it has not been, it's not like a matter of being renewed. I just don't think there's going to be any second or subsequent season. It was originally on BBC, as I mentioned, and it came out in late 2022. So it's relatively recent. And I have to say, and I think I messaged you midway through, after the second episode, it was nearing must subscribe territory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then it took a little bit of a dip, and kind of like the last 4 episodes were still strong, but nowhere as compelling as kind of the first 2 episodes that set everything up. And it's a solid mooch. And I think I just want to make a little bit of a side commentary about our ranking system as well, because it occurred to me that even within the mooch, what I think you and I mean by a mooch is that you should actively go out to like your friend or family or someone you know and say, hey, you subscribe to Netflix or whatever platform. Let's watch this together. Can I come over and watch it? Or give me your password so I can watch it. It's not just a random old, I'll watch it, kind of if I have time. It should be a little bit more active than that. It should be something that you really want to see, but it doesn't really rise to the level of shelling out money to subscribe to the platform itself. So using that criteria, I think Collateral is really a mooch, which is you should go out, and maybe it's not worth the money if you don't have the platform, but absolutely it's worth ringing up a long lost friend that has a Netflix account and sidling up to them, to try to watch the show. It's pretty good, actually. The reasons it's not a must subscribe in my book is like a lot of these, not just British crime drama thrillers, but all types. There's a lot of like storylines, and at the end, it's just this really deep, elaborate conspiracy, but the purpose of the conspiracy is like a little bit weak, right? I mean, There's conspiracies to kind of like blow up the world. There's conspiracies to steal money. And then there's all these kind of like political conspiracies where you're like, was that really worth all the effort? Like all that effort you guys went through, all the crimes you guys have committed, all just to keep this secret? Is it really worth it? And this kind of falls into that category where it's kind of a letdown in the sense of, I'm not sure it's like such a grand conspiracy, but yeah, it definitely leads to a lot of different like cover-ups. And there's a lot of interwoven characters. So that's one reason it's not a must subscribe. And the second reason is there's a lot of, it's a BBC show. There's a lot of social commentary in the show. And that's absolutely not bad. A lot of it, to be honest, I'm in agreement with, but they seem to have kind of like forced it into the show where it's just like absolutely unnatural. So for example, I'll just give one example. Immigration, which is a hot topic, of course, in the UK, is a pervasive storyline throughout. Some of this has to do with the underlying conspiracy. Some of it is just unnecessary. But there is I don't know what this is really called in the UK, but they call it a vicar, which is some type of like priest. Is that right?
That's right.
So this vicar is a female. Is that common in the UK? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a female vicar, and the female vicar is a lesbian. So we're dealing with a few topics. We're dealing with religion, then we're dealing with gender and kind of sexism, then we're dealing with a lesbian vicar, and the lesbian vicar's girlfriend is an illegal immigrant. A lot of social issues in this one character. And to be honest, her character absolutely is not needed whatsoever in the plot. You know, it's just kind of like the neighbor next door who appears throughout the episodes, but unnecessarily. It's just detracting from the storyline. And I feel like it was only shoved in there for kind of social commentary, which again, a lot of it I'm actually in alignment with, but it's unnecessary. Like, why are you creating all this major drama? There's a storyline that we should be following. Put more emphasis on the storyline and uncovering this thing rather than all the social commentary about your neighbor. So I would say those are the two reasons this has not graduated from a mooch to a must subscribe. Carrie Mulligan is fantastic in it, I must say. Absolutely did not recognize her. She has a much more mature kind of mom look, if I could put it that way. And she's pregnant in the show. I'm not sure if that's a pregnancy in real life or whether that's just added into the show. But I did not recognize her, and I would not have recognized her until I saw the credits, and I went to IMDb and I looked at the cast. So she is fantastic in it. The show is really quite good, but as I mentioned, I got let down a little bit by the plot. But it's certainly a mooch, and that is Collateral on Netflix that I self-assigned to myself after the Devil's Hour caused too much consternation for my taste.
Absolutely fair enough. Okay, that is Collateral, although even though it is not my genre, I may still give Devil's Hour a quick once over based on how you ended that, your mini review, which was to say, if you kind of wish you had given it more time, let me be the one to give it more time for you.
Yeah, I may watch the second or third episodes. Let's see, but it has been renewed for 2 more seasons, and it did get some pretty good critical acclaim, and it moved, like I said, it moved away from all the devil-y, Satan-y stuff into something that seems to be a little bit more of our genre.
Okay, so while you were changing your assignment, I was watching A League of Their Own on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
So I remember messaging you. The show is great, but B, my main concern was the fact that Amazon Prime seems to be hosting their servers on a lone potato in the middle of a field in Idaho. I have never had more problems streaming any show than I had with Amazon Prime.
That's shocking. That's really shocking.
I'm on a 350 meg connection. It's terrible. Yeah. It was really bad. It was buffering all the time. It reminded me of the internet when it was still making the bad modem noises back in the 90s. Yeah. It was horrendous.
Oh man.
But anyway, that's not a knock against the show. The show itself, I really, really, as expected, really enjoyed. I did end up watching the entire season.
How many episodes?
I think 10, either 8 or 10, but they're all a solid hour each. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, it's basically, the show is set in 1940s America. Men are getting drafted and going off to Europe to fight in World War II.
Yeah.
And to kind of combat the fact that a lot of men are overseas fighting the war, and to also kind of lift people's spirit up, the baseball league has decided to create a women's league so that, we can still the society can still enjoy baseball, which is supposedly America's favorite pastime.
Right.
So it's basically the same premise of the movie, which of course you'd expect because it's a remake. It's centered on Abby Jacobson's character, Carson Shaw, as well as Darcy Carden's Greta Gill. And you see
are these new characters from the movie, or are they characters that we came across in the movie itself?
So that is a great question. So it is not a remake as in a character for character remake. It is a remake basically on the concept and of course on the team. It is again the Rockford Peaches, but I'm pretty certain it's not the same characters that were in the movie. Having said that, there are a lot of clear and obvious physical, as in terms of looks, similarities between the characters. So, and I don't know if that was deliberate or if that's a happy coincidence, but you can tell which of these actors was hired because she looks kind of like Madonna.
Yeah.
Which of these looks and acts like Rosie O'Donnell? Which of these looks and acts like Gina Davis?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a coincidence, but it's just funny to see that, yes, oh yeah, this is definitely Madonna's character, even though I don't think they were. Again, this is definitely Madonna's character. This is definitely Rosie O'Donnell. So it's just a happy coincidence, I think. The cast is pretty excellent. There's lots of famous actors and comedians, and you may not know their names, but you definitely recognize them.
Okay.
So, you've got Kevin Dunn, Nick Offerman, Kate Berlant, and then there's a slew of other actors and comedians that I've seen on TV, whether it's on SNL or whether it's on, some comedy or some drama, but I couldn't give you their names because maybe they weren't necessarily the stars of their shows, but they were very important foundational actors, and these are definitely them. Premise is basically that you have these 8 teams or whatever it is, women's teams, they're playing baseball. And, you see the trials and tribulations because the owner is like this old school, old fashioned man who's just like, who's going to pay to see women play? They're not good. And, how do we make people play? I know, we hike up their skirts and make it sexier. That old school 40s era misogyny is on full display. Right. And then, of course, the women who are playing are like, how the heck are we supposed to slide to bases in these? Because they're genuinely athletes. They're not just models wearing uniforms to play the game. They're genuinely baseball players, right? So they're very good batsmen, or batswomen. They're very good, fielders. They're very good pitchers, that sort of thing. So the show is really, I don't want to say the show is centered around baseball. I think baseball just happens to be the sport. It's really about the individuals and the different problems that they faced and social issues that they faced. So there's lots of issues of sexism. There's lots of issues of racism. So for example, Shantae Adams plays Maxine Chapman. She's a fantastic pitcher, but she's not allowed to play for the team because she's Black. And, so you see a lot of these kinds of social issues, and there's a strong mix of personality types. So some of the women are like overtly feminine, like almost Marilyn Monroe-esque, like teehee, I'm a woman. And then some are like overtly masculine to the point where like they've got short hair, they're wearing ball caps, they like to wear pants and that sort of thing. By having so many different kinds of stereotypes, the idea is that they're not trying to stereotype at all, because you can't pin down what a quote unquote typical woman is supposed to be, right? She's not supposed to be this housewife type. She's not supposed to be this skirt wearing cook. She's not supposed to be like the secretary. She's not supposed to be the tomboy. None of that. It's a mix of everything. So by introducing all the different kinds of stereotypes, you kind of say, hey, look, the point is that you can't stereotype us, which I think is fine. I think overall, the show itself, over the first few episodes, is for me, was better because it was more focused on the actual sport of baseball, which is what I was kind of there to see. I like sports movies. I like sports shows. But over the course of the 8 or 10 episodes, whatever it was, it's clearly more than just baseball happens to just be the backdrop. It's really about the social issues that are prevalent in that time. So there's gender identity, there's sexuality, there's the gay agenda, or the gay movement rather, not agenda, and all these kinds of things come into play. I think your average person is going to be like, how is it possible that on a team of like 10 players, 12 players, more than half of them are lesbian? Okay, you have to kind of look beyond that to be like, look, I don't think it's about the fact that they are lesbian. I think it's just the fact that, look, they're trying to showcase that this was an issue for lesbians in the 40s, as some of those are still a problem today. It's not that they weren't trying to typecast to say like, oh yeah, well, all women ball players or women athletes are lesbians. That wasn't the point. The point was they were trying to say that the problem that lesbians faced in that era, and then we're going to put them all on one team because we want to kind of showcase the different issues that they face. So I don't think it was, you know, how you were talking about like kind of promote a social awareness issue, or, you know, in your show in Collateral.
Yeah.
It kind of is like that as well, but not related to the sport, in the sense that, you know what I mean? Like the old fashioned way in the 40s where thinking was like, well, if you're wearing pants, if you're a woman and you wear pants and you play sports, you're probably gay. That was not the stereotyping that they were trying to identify. They were just trying to say, hey, look, we're moving away from that stereotype. If you're a lesbian, these are the kinds of problems you're facing. That's it. Acting is very good. Production value is great. It's a semi-true story, so there's a lot to like. I think the fact that it's a series over instead of, 1.5 hour movie, it gives them more time to explore identity problems and explore issues. So it gives it more space and time to breathe, which is good. I would say, like you, this is a very close to being a must subscribe, but I think that towards the end of the series, it becomes almost too much about the social commentary, and it becomes too ham-fisted in how it's being presented. And then on top of that, like, baseball is also like a very American-centric sport.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, the issue is that if you're not interested in baseball or the concept of baseball, it's going to be very hard for non-baseball fans or non-Americans to understand and relate.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And especially for the first 2 or 3 episodes, which are very baseball heavy. I expect and suspect that for a lot of people, it would be very hard for them to get into this because they're just like, I don't give 2 craps about baseball. I'm not going to bother with it.
Yeah.
When the show is not really about baseball. I think that in general, the show is quite good. And like you said, I think that if you don't have Amazon Prime, I don't know if this is worth you getting Amazon Prime just to watch this show. I would say that, hey, look, Ethan, I don't have Amazon Prime. I know you do. There's this great series on that I've heard is very good. Do you mind if I come over and watch it? And if you're not interested, can you send me your password so I can watch it on my computer?
It's interesting, Pete, what you said, because I can't remember how long ago it was, 6 months or 9 months ago. We did an episode specifically on shows, and I think we did it like 80 shows or movies that could be rebooted or use a sequel.
Yeah,
remember that?
That's right.
And I don't think either one of us mentioned A League of Its Own, which I went back and I mean, I love that movie. That was a really compelling movie.
Great movie, yeah.
But I agree with you that in terms of wanting more, we probably don't have a lot more that we wanted. So it's probably good that they rebooted it as a series, because there's a whole generation that probably didn't see that original movie with Madonna, Gina Davis, Tom Hanks, like all those, Rosie O'Donnell, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Sports movie. So I guess it's relevant, but you're right. It probably doesn't travel well, internationally, or to anyone who's not really enthusiastic about baseball, simply because that's a very, very niche sport, and it doesn't really have like the cultural following that some other more global sports have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that it's definitely worth watching if you are remotely aware of what baseball is. And I would also say that even if you're not, give it a go anyway. Baseball just happens to be the sport that they're playing. It's not really about baseball. There's a lot of the issues that are shown on screen use baseball as a conceit to get you there. That's it. It's not really about it.
Okay. So that's this week's assignment. I had Devil's Hour, which turned into Collateral on Netflix.
Yep.
A League of Their Own, which stayed A League of Its Own on Amazon Prime Video.
Yes, and both were mooches.
And we're into the month of February, almost Valentine's Day. We're still looking for our first must subscribe.
That's true. Although I will say, and I did want to mention this to you earlier, but I've put it in my notes. I've been watching Ryan Johnson's latest show on Peacock, Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne.
Oh,
And you'll remember Natasha Lyonne from
Russian Dolls.
That is the first must subscribe from me in 2022.
No way.
23.
It's on Peacock?
Yeah. That's the problem that I had with it, is that it's on Peacock. It's very hard to watch outside of the United States because of it. And I honestly think that if it weren't for the fact that it's on Peacock, I think the show would be doing gangbusters. I think that the distribution choice that they made for getting it on Peacock is potentially its downfall at the moment.
Does she play? She is very talented, but she
Amazing.
also plays like a very specific kind of brash, chain smoking, kind of vulgar, very eloquent speaking type.
She's like Harrison Ford, same character in every movie and every show. She is that in this as well. If you get a chance, you must watch Poker Face. It's wonderful. I'm enjoying the show so much.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a very good recommendation. And an extra bonus on Streamer Skip today.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, I'm going out of my way not to tell you what the show's about because it's interesting. It's a very unique take on a whodunit. So it's like a murder mystery TV series, but it's more like a procedural. I don't want to tell you more. Just watch it. I think you're going to really like it.
But hold on. Peacock is its own platform?
So yeah, Peacock is NBC's streaming platform. That's right.
So it's only like Friends, Seinfeld, all those NBC shows, right?
I guess. I don't know actually what else is on Peacock.
We have to talk about this in our next episode where we talk about streaming platforms.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of, that's right. So just to give you guys an update for next week, Ethan will be watching on Amazon Prime 10%.
Oh.
And I will be watching on Hulu Second Chance.
All right.
Any don't
guesses
know
what these are about?
I
Second
have no idea what
like
anything of
life after death or a relationship breakup.
Yeah. Yeah. And 10%, I would have thought if the number were lower, I would have thought it was about like, wealth, but I have no idea what 10% is.
All right. Well, it doesn't sound scary, I hope.
Yeah. God, I hope so too.
Okay, Pete, we had kind of 2.5 shows that we reviewed today. We've got some good stuff for next week. Actually, we've almost kind of got 4 shows because you threw in Poker Face from Peacock on there as well.
Yeah.
So that is Streamer Skip for the day.
Perfect. So thank you, everyone. Look, our lists are now getting very low. I think I've got only 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 different shows that I can watch on my list. Yep. And I don't think there's that many more on Ethan's list. So listen, guys, reach out to us at F&S Podcast or DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast or email us aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com. We are desperate to add more shows on our list. I hate to say this, but we're going to outsource some of this work to you. Please like and review, and maybe even leave a comment below this video. You can tell us if there's anything that you want us to add. We'll put it on the list.
In any case, thank you everyone for joining Stream or Skip segment on Films and Stuff. We will catch you next week with an update as to these new assignments that we've got.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.